Varun, my Canadian brother, you were asking me, hey Andy, how are you? I'm doing great. Would you recommend asking the interviewer for feedback if you don't get the position? Thanks as always. Varun, great question. And Stacy and I noticed you'd asked this question. We were feverishly looking to see if the video that I've already created this very subject was available, and we couldn't find it amidst the hundreds that are waiting to be released. But I am going to give you some insight here on that question, because I know that a lot of people wonder about that. On feedback, there is a couple of things that we want you to be really careful of. If you do not get the job and you've spent time now we're talking about you've actually spent time interviewing, you've developed a relationship, meaning even if it's through the recruitment process with the people in the organization, you've gone through it, you've spoken with them, they've interviewed you, they informed you that you were not hired. First thing that you do is you check out my video on how to get the job after being rejected. We don't need to go into all what that is. It's a classy way of kind of tidying up the communication and letting them know you're thankful, and also giving them a little more insight into why you'd feel you'd be a great candidate, or would have been a great candidate. And also it tees you up to stay in touch with them and to say follow up in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and so on. Now, when it comes to the part about wanting to know why it was that you didn't get the job, number one, it is okay to ask. However, when you ask, point two is I don't want you to expect too much in the way of very, very detailed feedback. Probably because for the most part, organizations don't like to share things because they can expose themselves and run the risk of you getting upset, you filing lawsuit, them saying something improper, and it just doesn't do them a whole lot of good to give you a lot of detailed feedback. However, I would ask for it, and then if they give it to you, I would want to make sure that you do a couple things with what they give you. If they go so far as to give you insight into how they think you should develop as a professional to make you a better fit, what you could do better, communicating more effectively, being more detailed in the way in which you articulate things, any of this stuff that you would construe as something that's feedback for your personal and professional development, I want you to completely disregard. And I'll tell you why. I'm not saying I don't want you to learn something from the feedback. It's that particular type of feedback. Number one, they are not equipped. They do not know you well enough, and they don't know what's best for you, and that might be their personal opinion for what works for them individually. They might tell you, well, your answers weren't detailed enough. You'll go to the next interview with a different company and you'll try to peel back the details in your interview responses, and they'll tell you your answers weren't detailed enough, or they were too detailed, or whatever. So I don't want you to worry about all of that stuff. If they share something with you that you can map back to what I call getting better at interviewing, that is feedback that's valuable. And what do I mean by that? And we're going to need an example for this one. So if they said to me, well, Andy, we wish you would have had more experience in this particular area. Now, while that may sound like it's a developmental area and something that you were not strong in, from an interviewing performance perspective, if you truly had that experience, it could be that you didn't effectively articulate how that experience maps back to what it is they need. So your point from an interviewing growth standpoint is, okay, I need to make sure that number one, I'm highlighting this when this becomes important to them, or I'm getting more questions about this, or if they didn't ask the question, but I'm noticing something here on the job description that calls for this. It was kind of a secondary piece of the puzzle, but something like that where you're looking back and you're reflecting on yourself. Did I communicate effectively? Did I map what I do to what they need? Did I ask the right questions and all that good stuff to help me understand what they're looking for? It's that kind of feedback, or at least at a minimum, that's the lens I would use to assess the feedback if they give you feedback. So that's how I would look at that. And I hope that helps. I do not want you all, pulling your hair out of your head if that employer was not equipped to elicit the right information from you to connect the dots, that's on them. It's also on you that you need to make sure that you are pulling it out of them. And if you watch my interview playlist on YouTube, there's tons of videos where I talk about this. So, Veron, I hope that helps. Hope you're well, my friend, and always glad to have you at the show.